You're never been arrested before, you live locally, you can often be released on your own recognizance. Okay? So when you get arrested, they're looking for your name, where you live, are the primary things in your date of birth. They're trying to confirm you are who you say you are and that whether or not you're a flight risk. If you don't live here or you live out of state, they're more inclined to hold you. Okay? If you have priors, outstandings, or a lot of stuff, they're more inclined to consider bail for you. Now, in these actions and mass actions, we try and think about solidarity strategies. We could say none of us are paying bail, right? If we had the ability, we might be willing to say, let's stay in jail for 24 hours as we can and refuse, we're not paying bail, right? And use that as political power to try and convince them to drop bail for everybody. Right. Because in the system, they target people and divide us based on the same ways they do it outside. Race, skin color, age, gender. For trans people in particular, going into jail is a very dangerous place. And we need to really understand how to be allies for trans people in jail. So all that being said and done, we need to work to take care of ourselves, mitigate the damage, use the people power and non-cooperation inside if you need to, or not. What I will say is that if we're not really well organized in advance, it's dicier to do jail solidarity and stuff in jail because they lie, they say different things, and it's better for tight. And we're not really that tight yet. So I think better to get out and then live to come back and fight again.
I'll say for the PR bonds, the personal recognizance, it's a $20 bond. If they ask you, like, or if they're interviewing you to see if you would qualify, I mean, I guess they would go through like that interview. You need to have a local address. So if you're not from here, have a local address in your head to give them, because if you tell them you're from out of town, you're less likely to get that. And you need to have references to give them. They need to give them 3 references that they will call and check. Let those references know that you have a local address and your date of birth and information.
So when they check your ID, they know that you're from like Houston or something.
You don't need your ID. And you also don't need your ID.
You don't even need to bring it.
But you moved here for school. You're like any number of things.
So you have to get ID in Texas.
No, you have to identify yourself, which means if they ask you, you can say, my name is John Smith, I live at 123 Candy Lane.
If you're arrested, not if you're detained, but if you're arrested, you have to give your name, your date of birth, and your address. And if you have ID, they'll take your ID. You don't have to have your ID, but you have to provide that information, or else you face an extra charge of failure to ID, which you may be willing to do. You may just want to give them a hard time. You may not want to say a goddamn thing. You may want to invoke the kind of right, but you will face that additional charge if you don't give them those 3 information. Huh?
Is it better to not have your ID?
I think we decided last time that it was better to have it, and I think the discussion today was that it really just depends.
So
I will have mine, this might make the process quicker.
having your ID will certainly expedite the process. If we were non-cooperating and inclined to jam the jails, we would say no ID. But I don't think that's where so it's easier to have it. You know. Okay, right
But
here.
if we're not from here, we really should say where we're from. I mean, if they're gonna ask us for.
Don't lie.
Don't lie.
You don't
Okay.
ever want to lie, but you can say, this is my local address.
Okay.
This is where I'm staying.
Oh, so, okay, so
Okay.
that's what you would say. Is
Yeah,
you could
this
say
is my local
this
address.
Okay.
This is my local address.
If you're from Texas, you can get like your Texas address. If you're not from Austin, that's okay. Yeah. I mean, you can. Well, you have to have a local
Yeah,
address in Travis County. So it has to be an address in Travis County. You can say I have a permanent address. I'm not from here. That's what's on your ID. But you have to, if you want to apply for the PR bond,
Then
you have to
give
give
the
a local address.
So hand, then we're going to wrap it up. Yeah?
Okay, for anyone who has medication that they will be needing to take and is willing to risk arrest, you should have 72 hours of your medication with you in the original bottles.
Okay.
And they are required by law to administer it to you in jail. Sometimes, like she said, the law doesn't matter, but they're required to by law. So have 72 hours because that's the maximum they
You're
will
allowed to
keep
have
you.
on you.
It is. Well, that's the maximum they'll usually keep you is 72 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so have 72 hours. They usually do not keep you nearly that long, but it's better to be safe than sorry.
One here, and then.
I did just want to point out something else. Medication, I was not arrested, but I was put in the back of the cop car right after I had surgery, and it's true that the law doesn't matter. They were like, you can't bring narcotics, and I was like, I had 60 stitches in my chest, and they just don't care. So they,
Yeah, and I also had a prescription bottle with me when I was arrested, and it had like my name and information on it, and they still didn't administer it, so kind of guarantee that they will, but have it on you so that is a potential possibility.
And make sure somebody outside in your affinity group knows about that so they can be advocating and getting the lawyers to go in and
Where
advocate
do
for
I
you.
find my legal form?
Okay.
And who do I give it to when I get home?
Okay, so on the Rise Up Texas website, under direct action, there's a link to forms, and under guides, there's a link to forms. We're gonna load up a bunch of more stuff tonight. There's a bunch of printouts of forms. I don't know if we have them here tonight. So we can bring them tomorrow, and we'll be doing other meetings. But I wanna just do this one last thing before the forms, since we don't have them. And we'll just make sure that they're downloadable from, is it dress well, dress in layers. If you're thinking of going to jail, minimize your jewelry, minimize what you're taking with you. Just keep it simple, have some power bars in your pocket, because if you get arrested, you may not eat for a while, so if you think it's getting close, eat some power bars before you go. It can be cold in jail, so layers is good.
Yes, yes.
Layers is good.
I was actually gonna, yeah, I was gonna point that out. I haven't been in the Travis County one, but in Dallas County, they will try to like freeze you out if they keep it at about like 50 and they don't give you anything. So it is important to wear layers if you think you may get arrested, because you probably will be able to wear what you went in jail with. But if they won't, they will make you change out. It depends on how long you're there, right?
Not always, yeah.
Okay.
It was, when I was arrested, and we had a single cells, and we were made to change in the
Okay.
stripes, so.
Okay.
So let's do this. We should wrap this because there's another meeting that's gonna happen where more of this information will be provided. There'll be working groups. So we just took the Capitol steps. We just blocked a door of the Capitol even though it was already blocked. Right now, we have no problems even though they're watching us. So I think we should do a big hoop, clap, and go on down there, and we'll form up for the spokes council process. Does that work good?
Yeah.
And then, do we, any of that? Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.